Channel.
Hey, you know what time it is, No Press fam? Welcome everyone to another episode of The Beatdown, the segment and channel where two worlds collide. I am your host, Class. And if you guys enjoy this content, you know what you can do. You can share, you can like, you can subscribe, or you can turn on your notifications to get the latest episodes, which we put out every week. So today is a very special day. You want to know why? Because we're doing a special shout out for a special boy. That's our Striker. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday. December 9th. Congratulations, man. Another year, another day older. Fantastic. How's it feel? So, he had a special request for us. This one's an interesting one, and we're going to give it to you. So, let's kick things off by representing Marvel Comics Sauron.
Will of Almighty Garon.
Alright, let's see if I can do a super brief origin story of Carl Lycos, aka Sauron. So, Carl Lycos fell in love with this girl who had money. And unfortunately, he wanted to get her hand in marriage, but he had to get the father's consent. But the father said, no, you're not rich enough to marry my daughter. So this drove Carl to a point where he had determined to go to school to get more successful. It wasn't enough for him still, so he continued to push it further and further. Eventually, he and his wife go on an expedition somewhere in Tierra del Fuego. I hope I'm saying that right, because, you know. Anyways, and they go on this mysterious island, and during that expedition, Carl gets bitten by one of these radioactive pterodactyls, or these mutated pterodactyls, and then he doesn't feel anything for a while, and then one day he touches somebody, absorbs power, and then he turns into a mutated pterodactyl himself. And yeah, that's a super brief origin story of Sauron. Oh, fun fact: Sauron got his name from the Lord of the Rings Lord of the Rings book, not comics. But isn't that bizarre? I figured it would have been something like, you know, they just made it up, but no, they got it from the novel. Interesting, right? Alright, let's get into the powers, abilities, and feats. Alright. His powers: life force absorption, mutant power absorption, energy blast, superhuman strength, flight, pterodactyl natural weapons, meaning like his nose, his tail, his claws, all that stuff. Flight, pterodactyl, I already said flight and pterodactyl natural abilities. Fire breath, hypnosis, and telekinesis. Okay. Here's some of, I only have a very few amount of feats because he doesn't get discussed a lot in the comics, and he's only discussed in certain particular comics, which is X-Men. So he has fought the X-Men on countless occasions. He's attempted to take the Savage Land that he's where his people are from, I guess. And he even took on Magneto's team, which were like another mutated team. And he went against them and teamed up with the X-Men to help them out. So he's like a hero and an villain. So he's an anti-hero. So he's good and bad in his own way. And he's absorbed people like, get this, Havoc, who is Cyclops' brother, Lorna Dane, and Havoc. There's just to name a few. Alright, so let's talk about the end game. Let's start off with one of the most, I would say, a decent compelling argument. Old school Despero. If you go from the original comics, like from the way beginning, he wasn't exactly on that super top level just yet. He was there, but he wasn't there. You feel me? So I do believe that old school Despero might get his butt kicked against Sauron in this essence. Now, why would I make that a case? Because, well, in the comics, Despero actually increases in strength during his whole comic run, you know, like during his timeline, he grows as the herbs grow and everything like that. He continues to get stronger. But in the beginning, he's still kind of at a mediocre level, which means enough for Sauron to take advantage where he needs to take advantage from. Alright, so here are two things. The fire blast, or the heat blast that Sauron can use, it's not going to be enough to go against Despero, I believe. It might not make too much of a dent. It might not even affect Despero as much as it wants to. And maybe even also the hypnosis. That's also something to consider, because they both equally are kind of in the level of controlling people. But Despero does have a little more on his tool belt. But this is what I'll say. Maybe at least with Sauron, he can use his natural weapons from his pterodactyl form to attack him without and maybe at the same time being able to absorb the power, and at the same time maybe he can at least use his mental ability to block Despero from figuring out what his next move is going to be or what his strategy is. Now, this is what I think Sauron's strategy would be. The long run, or the long game. So, but at the same time, not letting Despero get a rise or aware of what's going on during the whole battle. So here's how I'm thinking. He would have to kind of absorb Despero for a very large amount of power and then get into a long period battle with him. So that way Despero kind of misplaces or missteps or forgets that, Sauron was absorbing him the last time as they go into this long uphill battle. That he's just going to be too focused on the fight, too focused on the battle, to be focusing on the fact that where Sauron's getting all this power. He's probably thinking it's just his natural abilities at this point. As long as he doesn't get a rise, Sauron can just keep draining him, throwing down with him, using his own powers against him, eventually wearing Despero out in that way. There is that possibility. Alright, another point I'll have to make for this is that in order for Sauron to make that completely happen, he's going to have to keep Despero close. Any kind of distance, any kind of range does kind of put Sauron at a risk, obviously, because he needs his juice to keep going and being able to drain Despero. But if he doesn't have him around, if he creates a distance and he's eventually running out of power, he could eventually turn back to normal. So the idea is for Sauron to keep Despero real close, throw down with him, get tactical, submission type, keep grabbing him as much as he can, at the same time throwing punches at him, keeping him in close range, not far. This would be his best bet in order to win this fight. So, like I said, Sauron's greatest assets is going to be using his energy absorption, but keeping Despero unaware that he's using that, at the same time keeping the blow and the fight close range, so that way he can get the victory.
Will absorb every ounce of energy you possess. I can feel it.
Alright, now I will be representing the other side, which is DC Comics Despero.
The Warlord Despero!
Alright, let's see if we can get into the super brief origin story. So, Despero lived in this place, at first it was a dimension, then he lived on an or planet called Kolonor. And Kolonor was in the brink of a devastating thermonuclear war. So, during that time, a lot of people got affected by the blast, a lot of radiation, a lot of mutation situations. Some people had perished and some people actually transformed into something different. During that mutation, during that time, people decided, or these creatures decided, or mutated, whatever you want to call them, decided that they were going to battle for superiority. So, it was a long uphill battle, families separated until one day Despero's family was pretty much kind of the last survivors of the kingdom in a way. So first, let's see if I can get this. Mom tries to take out dad, dad takes out mom, and then son takes out dad, and then he becomes the main guy. He becomes the ruler, or he becomes the head honcho of his planet. And that is the super brief origin story of Despero. Alright, powers, abilities, and feats. Let's get into it. Kolonorian physiology, telekinesis, energy projection, flight, force field, telepathy, mind control, illusion casting, mind reading, magic, astral projection, possession, superhuman durability. This is the super soldier cocktail. Superhero cocktail, sorry. Superhuman durability, superhuman speed, superhuman agility, superhuman stamina, superhuman reflexes, superhuman strength, self-biological manipulation, regeneration, size alteration, metamorphosis, teleportation, reality alteration, matter manipulation, and energy manipulation. And he has fought people. I just kind of made it short since, Sauron was kind of short. Martian Manhunter, Lobo, Superboy, and he's also mind controlled a handful of the members of the Justice League. That's impressive. Alright, so let's talk about the end game. Despero has a lot more going for him. So let's say Sauron does absorb any of his power. Despero is more capable of using his power than the Sauron would be able to. But here's the kicker. I think at some point Despero would figure it out, be smart enough. He became the last of his people, I guess, in a way. So I do believe in an intelligent perspective, he does have the strategy to kind of figure out something like Sauron being able to touch him. Which that means that I believe Despero could use his magic-based powers to kind of keep Sauron from getting any kind of grab at him. So yeah, there's that possibility. And let's not forget, he also has teleportation. The bobbing and weaving is still a possibility. He could throw just objects at him. Both can throw objects at each other, but he could probably throw bigger objects at him. I mean, he got stronger over the years during his comics run, but Sauron kind of remained the same. He still remains running out of juice at some point during battle. He's not completely 100% just always Sauron. He just runs out of juice eventually. But with Despero, you're not gonna get that kind of thing. He's got magic, he's got teleportation, so he can just keep blasting him with his magic blast, and at the same time teleporting from different angles, so Sauron really can't catch him. And he can also fly too, so both can fly away from each other or close to each other, either way. So let's talk about another few things that Despero can do. Reality manipulation and matter manipulation. Despero can do both those things, and that power itself is already a great feat that's gonna put Sauron in a difficult situation. He could put him in a cage if he wanted to. He could put him in a little small black hole. He can put a black hole out of nowhere. I mean, anything Despero comes up with could just put the end to Sauron. So here's the sad part about it. Despero, all he has to do at some point is just run the clock when it comes to Sauron. If Sauron doesn't get a grab at Despero, and Despero just keeps putting objects and obstacles over him, eventually Sauron is gonna run out of juice. He's gonna go back to being Carl. Or even so, if he doesn't come back to being Carl and he's just running out of juice, Despero can just finish him off with an energy blast or a magic blast. It doesn't matter. Or he could just take him to a different dimension where they can drain him from something out of his own power. I don't know. There's just so many things that Despero could do because he's got so many weapons in his arsenal. Despero has this in the bag.
His headmaster. It will make an excellent trophy.
But as always, No Press fam, it's not up to me. It's up to you guys. So if you guys like my argument, you know what you can do. You can hashtag Sauron, hashtag Marvel Sauron. And if you like the other argument better, you know what you can do. You can hashtag Despero. And as always, No Press fam, we really appreciate you guys. Catch you guys later. Peace.